Welcome everybody to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your host for the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. Oh yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm super duper duper excited to introduce T-Check McClure. At also social media handle is T-Check Photo, and AKA Chick. What up, Chick? How's it going? Thank you so much for being on my show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I'm excited.
You know, it's really awesome because I started following you on Instagram years ago, and I've seen your photography just wow. I mean, I'm from East LA, that's where I was born. And I follow a lot of different artists, from photographers to painters and fine artists and stuff, on Instagram and on Twitter. But when I come across your stuff, it just takes me there. And I even told a couple of my friends, I was like, I bet you T-Chick is straight up from East LA or Los Angeles itself, because the way that you capture colors and images and storefronts and people, it's just the stuff that's ingrained in me from being like an Angelino. So my first question to you is, are you from LA?
I am not from Los Angeles. My father was in the Navy, so I moved around a whole bunch, but there was a period of my life in childhood where I lived in Oxnard. And when I was here, I was like, this is my place. And then we had to move and go on. And then ever since then, I've just been like, oh my God, I have to get home. I have to get home. And so I finally moved to Los Angeles in 1997. So I've been here since.
Wow.
And I just adore the city so much.
So what do you love about LA so much? I mean, it's really fascinating for somebody that's not like straight up born like raw dog East LA, that you capture everything so beautifully. So I'm really curious, like what catches your eye about the authenticity of the deep roots of Los Angeles?
Yeah, well, I guess that's actually kind of exactly what it is authenticity. When you ask me that question, it's like, oh, it's authenticity. It's like, what's authentic about LA? So I feel like when I'm out and I'm making pictures, people say something about photography being like sort of not a lie exactly, but like you can look at a picture that somebody made and bring 1,000 stories to it, right?
Sure, yeah.
But when I'm taking a picture, any kind of picture, but definitely with any photographs that I make in Los Angeles, I'm looking for what's authentic about it, like what's authentic in my experience about it, or what's authentic about the place itself or about the person themselves. So
do you mean visually only, or visually and the feels?
The feels. The feel
of the environment.
Yes, the feels. And I think at the root of it, it's about what's emotional about it for me.
Yeah.
And I'm striving, just as I'm striving in my personal life, to be authentic. And so when I'm taking pictures of Los Angeles, I don't know, it's just I'm not interested in, I mean, LA's got a lot of perceptions about it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people that don't live here or visited a few times maybe have a certain perception about it, like, oh, it's Hollywood, or it's,
exactly, or let's go hiking up the Hollywood hill, the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not what LA is, It's like, it's
right on.
Yeah.
And how I said that it's not the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, it's not the Hollywood sign, right? But I have taken a picture of that Hollywood sign. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I'll have to check it out.
It's like, for me, it's like, it's the flip side of Hollywood. It's the flip side of what someone may perceive what Hollywood is. But to me, it's more gritty. It's LA is a beacon, right? LA is a beacon for people to come here and tackle their dreams, and
Right.
which is great, right? But they're coming here on a belief about what Hollywood is or what Los Angeles is. And I try to make photographs of what's real to me about Hollywood. And that would be empty dreams, maybe, or
Sure.
dashed
More
hope.
empty dreams and right.
Yeah. Not that it's only that or only this, but it includes the people who, it includes an underbelly, an alternative experience than, I'm an actor, or I'm a filmmaker, or whatever, super successful, maybe not.
How do you know when to capture the right shots? Because I've seen some of the riverbed, and I've seen the riverbed in different color schemes, and I'm not sure if it's if it's because it's early morning versus when the sun's going to go down, or how do you know? Are you looking at the weather in the morning and being like, okay, today's going to be hazy, today's not a good day? What are
Yeah.
you doing to prepare yourself to take these raw footages?
Well, I do a couple of things. I do check the weather. I'm all about like when LA is going to have some clouds in the sky.
Now, LA is
And,
big, so are you checking Santa Monica weather? Are you checking Los Angeles
oh
weather?
no,
Are you checking which weather are you checking?
I'm checking Los Angeles in general, like the city in general.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, if it's
Yeah.
this here, then it's going to be this at least, this far out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll check the weather, and it's also a part of my practice. Like I'm in the practice of taking pictures, so I may go out to the same location, 10 different times on different days. Usually I'll go early morning or towards the later part of the day into.
And why do you do that? To make sure that you capture the right image at the right time?
Photography is all about light, right? I mean, the technical
Yes.
aspect of it's all about light. So I'm looking for beautiful light, moody light. Uh, I'm looking for, I think my pictures have a sort of ugly beauty about them in some way. I mean, I think that they can be stunningly beautiful, of what maybe somebody might think, like the LA River, for example. A lot
Yeah.
of people think that that's like a sewer.
Yeah, I've heard
We
that.
have a
But
sewer
man,
running through the city.
they're gorgeous, your shots.
Thank you. But that's like what's so exciting about it to me, which might go back to your earlier question, and that's like people have assumptions about Los Angeles, or people have assumptions about the LA River. People assume it's a sewer, it's a gutter, it's whatever. But it's it's our river, and, and it's an integral part of this place.
It really is.
Yeah, it's and I love to go out there and like that. I guess that's a lot of what excites me about making pictures, is like sort of breaking assumptions. Like that concept excites me. I want to break assumptions. I don't want to make assumptions. And I want to be open. I want to be
I
open.
like that. Break assumptions rather than make assumptions. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And we're people, we're human beings, so maybe it's in our nature to make assumptions.
Yeah, and something you said earlier too that makes sense. It's just all, I'm putting it all together right now. You said earlier in the start of the interview that right now you're working on your authentic self. And do you find that the more authenticity you find with yourself, the more authenticity you see out there
Absolutely.
to take more authentic images?
For sure.
You see things, the
Positively.
more authentic you are to yourself in ways that you didn't before.
Yes. And also because I'm trans, so like I didn't begin my transition or even come out about that until I was 45. So I spent a lot of my life living in a way that wasn't authentic.
Authentic, yeah.
Thank you. It wasn't authentic to me. So now that I've got my grip on my authenticity, I want to have a grip on that everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So in my art making, I want there to be and I want there to be an authenticity that's present in my pictures. And yeah, that's a goal. That's a big goal when I'm
Yeah, well, it's very
not.
present.
Thank you.
Congratulations for sure. And so when did you actually start taking pictures? When were you like, hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. Or I'm enjoying this. When did you start? I guess what's the difference between knowing you're good at it and enjoying it? Or do you do both at the same time and stay humble?
Maybe it's a little bit of both. Like
Okay.
maybe when you when a person enjoys something. I mean, I wouldn't say that I sprang right out, you know, and was like taking amazing photographs.
Hmm.
I did a lot of in the beginning. I did a lot of like I would set up a certain kind of shot that I wanted to experiment with, and
Hmm.
kind of do a bunch of different stuff in order to learn, because I'm more of a hands-on kind of learner. And so I would set projects up for myself to challenge myself to basically make me learn how to use my camera, right?
How long ago was that? Were you like in your teens, in your 20s, or when did
Well,
that start?
I I would say in earnest that began probably around the time that I transitioned, probably around 45. Now,
Wow.
I have a little bit of a long tail in my path
Uh,
to get here, and that is I went to art school in my 20s. In art school, I was a painter, and then I moved out to Los Angeles, and
what kind of painter? I'm sorry.
like oil painting,
Okay.
and I was always doing I was always sort of doing a narrative, like telling a story through my imagery and in painting. And a lot, so my pictures or my paintings were you know, representational of what they were. It might be like, you know, somebody folding clothes in a laundromat, as an example. It would
Yeah.
look like somebody folding clothes in a laundromat.
Right.
um, but a lot of that effort was put towards making it look like a person folding clothes
Yeah,
in a
not
laundromat.
staged.
Right. So I'd have to paint this and reproduce it.
Oh,
So I
wow.
might do paintings from photographs,
Hmm.
and then so keep that in mind.
Okay.
And then I came out here to Los Angeles, and I ended up getting involved in the Groundlings Theater, um, which is a comedy theater, comedy improv theater out here in Los Angeles, and I went into animation as a career. So I was combining my visual painting stuff with written story and characters
Hmm.
and that sort of thing. Um,
Written by other people.
yes, written by other people.
Okay.
And then I eventually became a Sunday company member at the Groundlings. And this whole time, I might use my camera to document characters that, you know, like costume characters that I had written for myself at the Groundlings.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I wasn't using the camera as an art making tool at that time.
Wow. Okay.
And so I know it's a very long, very long tail.
No, it's just so fascinating that it's so recent that you picked up the camera, because just your images just they're just so deep. It's just, I mean, now that you're giving me the background, it's making sense why your images are so deep.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I So when my time at the Groundlings ended, I was kind of rudderless for a while, and I don't know how much you want to know, but I ended up having a problem with alcohol. So I was abusing alcohol, didn't have the Groundlings anymore, and wasn't working in animation. I didn't want to be working in animation, but so it got pretty dark. I call those
Yeah,
the
it sounds like you were doing stuff that your soul and your spirit, that wasn't calling your soul and your spirit.
oh no, I was doing everything I could do to kill that
Yeah.
off.
Hmm.
Um, and then against all odds, I found myself in a relationship that I'm still in today.
Okay.
And I knew at the start of that relationship, not because anybody gave me an ultimatum, but I was like, there's no way that I can maintain this relationship and keep drinking.
Right.
So I let that go. And then when I stopped drinking, I started facing the fact
The
that I'm
real deal.
transgender. Yeah, the fact that I'm transgender, finally looking at that stuff. Finally, and
Yeah,
so
finally.
yeah, and so about that time, as I said, that's when I started picking up my camera. And I did some stuff that was specific to my being trans. That stuff may or may not be on my website, but I'll provide a link
Okay, yes,
to it
please.
if people would like to see it. Um,
And did
uh,
that just come natural? It's like, okay, fine, you made the decision. I'm ready. I'm going to live my authentic self. I'm going to transition. And then you just saw a camera and you're like, whoa, what is that? Where's this going to take me?
for a while, I was trying to use my camera to make a living, quote unquote. So I was doing like headshots and stuff like that. And that wasn't feeding my soul at all.
Which are really incredible. I've seen the headshots that you've done. They're also really stunning.
Thank you. But doing it as a trying to force, it was a lot of my life, and this with my camera, trying to use it as a means of income or whatever, was like a square peg round hole thing. I guess I didn't believe that I could make my living from my art, so I had to do it in some sort of like pay for hire kind of thing, which
For someone else rather than yourself.
right, so
I
it was
feel
a
a lot of artists
continuation.
do that, yeah, until they're finally find the confidence and feeling grounded and trusting yourself that what you
Yes,
do is deliverable, and then
yes,
people
bet
finally connect with you.
right, bet on yourself,
Yeah,
so many of us need to bet on ourselves in many different ways. I mean, even if you're in a more traditional type job, like, bet on yourself, like
absolutely.
take some risks. And
So you took that risk. You said, you know what?
did
So okay, so then you started, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were taking headshots, and what happened after that?
and well, so then on a parallel track, as I was trying to earn my living with my camera, that's at the time period when I was doing experiments with, like, if I wanted to do this or get this type of effect with my camera, what do I have to do? And so I would set up these little scenarios that made me figure it out. And then, because I'm a learner, that I learn more by
Hands-on.
doing, it would stick better than somebody verbally telling me how to do it. And then also too, like, people are very generous with their knowledge and stuff on social media and YouTube. So
How so? Like, what kind of knowledge did you gain from social media with photography?
lots of people put out tutorials on how to do certain types of things with, in this example, a camera.
What kind of camera? You're talking
I
about some,
use
yeah.
I use a 5DSR and a 5D Mark III. One
And
is
was that also from the tutorial that was advised that takes good shots, or that was just like on a whim? You're gonna see how you can rate this camera.
I did a little research on the camera that I would like to have, and decided I would go with Canon. I may have even had a lens at the time that fit a Canon. And so I was like, well, I better get a Canon because I have this lens.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, like, the camera is a commitment, because you buy lenses and other equipment that needs to be compatible with your camera. So
yeah.
And it's not like I did any of this stuff overnight. Like, it's grown since I just turned 50, so over 5 years.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. It's my second COVID birthday.
Oh man.
So harsh. But yeah, so I actually now don't even remember what your original question was, but since I've been rambling on here. But
oh no, not at all. We're just basically, you're telling me the evolution of you becoming an awesome photographer, like how it all came to be.
Yeah, so and that's the other thing that springs to mind as I'm talking about this. Like, I was 45 when this when I started doing, and you know, there were a few times before 45 when I would, as a favor, take pictures for people, but not as like any type of professional kind of thing. But most of the stuff has been since turning 45. But what was the thing that I was just going to say? About being 45. I think there's a lot of pressure on people that, you know, oh, you're a late bloomer, or, you know, oh my God, I'm 45. I can't possibly, you know, and I just, somebody once said this to me. They said, this is not your practice life, right? Meaning, or how I took it to mean is, you know, stop waiting. Don't wait forever. You're not waiting for another life. This is the life. This is the one you have right now. Like,
exactly.
So I was like, oh my God, I've been living my life for this other life later. And
wow,
no, I have to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And it really woke me up. I was just like, yeah, this is not my practice life. What am I doing?
Right.
I'm 45.
This is for reals.
Yeah, this is for real. What am I waiting for?
Right.
You know? So that was a big thing for me to hear and actually take in. And, you know, and that feeds everything. That was like my leap into transitioning, my leap into trusting myself, to be able to make art with my camera, you know, like.
Tell us more about trusting yourself with photography. Tell us more about that. What does that mean, to trust yourself?
Trust that you will find a way. There's that. To find a way. Trust that you absolutely can do it. Don't get intimidated by things like, in my case, the technology behind the camera. Like,
which can be intimidating.
It can be really intimidating. People are like, oh my God, I'm going to be on manual. No, I can't possibly do it. Well, you're going to take a lot of bad pictures in the beginning. And and you know what? You're going to take a lot of bad pictures in the middle and in the end. You're going to take bad pictures, you know, but you know, don't let that like get you freaked out, you know. Just kind of get in a zone. That's how it is for me. And and that's part of the reason why I work. Like, I work with it as a practice. So that helps me get out of my head. It's like, well, I know tomorrow morning I'm getting up at 5 and I'm going to go make pictures. I may not even know what exactly I'm going to make pictures of. And
wow.
I mean, but that's what I do. So because it's a practice, I don't get over analytical with myself. And because I can think myself out of anything, and I've thought myself out of lots of stuff, but this is not your practice life.
Yeah, this is not your practice life. I really like that. Thanks for sharing that.
This is the one you get. Yep, this is the one you're getting. And
so let's talk about your schedule then. So you say you get up at 5 sometimes. That's the time that you'll get up. Like, how often, how many times a week are you doing this?
I get up at 5 o'clock every morning.
Wow, early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
So you get up at 5 and go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's partially for art making and partially because if I don't hobble down the stairs fast enough, my dog will pee on the floor.
Oh my goodness. I have similar problems with my cat, with number 2. But anyways, yeah. So, wow, 5 a.m. Yeah, so 5 a.m. and then you're like, okay, you check the weather. The weather's good today to be here. Is that what you say?
Yeah, generally. I probably check the weather the day before.
Okay.
So just so I know what I'm getting into. And then if I'm working on something specific like the LA River, obviously I'll go to the LA River. Or it's oftentimes like, where haven't I been yet? Let me just point my car in a direction.
So you get lost a lot too, as well.
Oh, I love to get lost.
Yeah, getting lost is so fun, huh?
Yeah, it's like I would never have known this was here. I love getting lost.
Yeah, being lost is fun because then that's when you get surprises too. When you're, I'm imagining being a photographer. Yeah.
Yes, and with my background in improv, They have something called yes anding in
What
improv
is
where,
that? Yes, anding?
yeah, yes anding.
Uh-huh.
And
What does that
so
mean?
it's like if one person in the scene says, I'm drinking a cup of tea, you know, the next person that's in the same scene will say, you know, oh, how delicious is that tea? I'm drinking, you know, I
Hmm.
don't know, my tea has orange peels in it. Just
Yeah.
something that is like taking in what you heard, acknowledging what you heard, and adding to it, you
Okay.
know. So I like to do that with my camera. So if I'm like, one time I was like in my car and somebody was, this is like, at the time this was probably like 4:30 in the morning. This person like got on a shopping cart and like pushed themselves through the intersection, like
Whoa.
rode the shopping cart through the intersection. And I saw it and I yes anded it with my camera. It's like, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
I didn't go, and this is something I've had to learn how to do too, with making images with my camera, is that I in the way that I don't want to make assumptions. I also don't want to make assumptions about what I'm there to make pictures of, because of this had happened. And I was
Yeah,
like, well, this isn't my goal of taking pictures of the LA River.
for
I'm going to
sure.
let this slide. I wouldn't have gotten that great picture of this
Right.
weird event that happened at 4 in the morning that made this really awesome photograph, you know, because I'm yes anding what's being presented to me in the moment.
In the
Yeah.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of authenticity.
Yes. Yes. We're yes anding ourselves too, right?
Wow.
I'm yes anding myself. I spent a lot of my time not yes anding myself by trying to, you know, not be trans or whatever I was
Yeah, and
doing.
please other people.
Oh yeah, huge people pleaser. Huge people. No, it's not to say that I'm a jerk now. I'm not, but I'm not. I'm not. Uh, I'm not excited about putting my own stuff aside on the back burner for anybody. You know,
Yeah,
because
and it's showing with the authenticity. So I have a question.
sure.
What can you tell people who question whether or not they're good enough to be photographers?
I would say if you enjoy making pictures, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because there's plenty of messages in the world that you can't do something.
Hmm.
You can't do what you want. You can't make pictures. Your pictures aren't any good. You'll never get a show. Meanwhile, I don't know if you're like me, I'll be internalizing all of that stuff. I already have all that. I have those tapes going in my head already.
Yeah, and now you're hearing it from other people, and it can be discouraging.
Yeah, but you
And
just
that's
have
where
to
you need
be
to
like,
trust yourself.
that's when you be like, okay, I hear I hear these tapes in my head,
Hmm.
and I'm choosing not to listen to that.
Right.
There'll be a million things and a million reasons why you can't do something. But what's the reason that you can? If it can be just because you want to,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want.
Exactly.
And if my pictures aren't where I want them to be right now, then I'm gonna figure out what I need to do to elevate them, you know, to bring them to where I am right now. And this is another thing too, especially with, well, I don't know, especially maybe this is with everything, but in the beginning, like there are pictures that I made 5 years ago that were great pictures, right? Totally awesome, great pictures. But, you know, 5 years later for me now, I'm like, I've moved beyond where I was at that time and my
Yeah.
skill set at that time when I took that picture. It may still be a great picture, but I'm past it because I'm always pushing my limits. I always want to
Mhm.
push where's my current limitation, and I want to blow past that. So
Are
I'm
you
always looking
able
for
to
the
look?
next best picture.
Are you? Do you? I guess I'm trying to relate this to how I am with like whenever I write poetry and stuff. Do you
Mhm.
look back at old images and be like, remember where you were at in life
Oh,
at
for
that time?
sure.
Yeah, you get that same feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure. Because I may have been grappling with something that I was specifically even working on while I was making the pictures, that maybe I'm even beyond that. Like I
Yeah.
tackled whatever that was. Or as like a touchstone, like I can touchstone something that is still important to me today, you know, like I can go back and like, oh, I remember that. Like not drinking anymore as an example for
Yeah.
myself. Like
Wow.
I can touchstone things that I wrote maybe back then that
Uh-huh.
remind me of what it was like and where I was, so that I never pick up that drink again, you know?
Have you tried, those are really, really good advice for people that are who want to become sober and stuff, to look at your work before and after. Have
Yes.
you have you made that comparison yourself, to look at your work before and after, before sobriety and after sobriety,
You know,
to see the difference?
I have not done that specifically, but now that we're having this conversation, I kind of want to, you know?
Like, would you be interested to going back to taking an image of some sort, whether it's painting or photography, of one that you've done before when you weren't sober, and that same exact place, do it again now in your authentic skin? Do you think
Uh,
you would get a different image?
Probably so. Yeah,
I think so
probably so.
too.
Yeah. I would
That
think
would be
that
really fascinating to see that too.
that would be really fascinating.
Wow.
I should really consider that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's a
I'm like
super cool
picturing in my
idea.
head. I'm like, wow, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, you gotta write that one down in a notebook.
All right.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I've not done that, and but that seems something worthy to do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you capture sober versus when you weren't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or when things were just so hard and so dark and so
Yeah,
like,
right. I'm sure there's
yeah.
beauty in both though,
Mm-hmm.
because there
Yeah.
is beauty in pain.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And I think for me, like I metabolize a lot of that pain even now. Like, you know, I haven't let go of my past completely. It's still with me. It's part of me. But um, you know, I metabolize all my feel like I feel like all my pictures have an element of emotionality about them, like where I am emotionally. Like I'm trying to process things in my pictures that I can't easily process verbally, or you know, like it's more
Definitely.
of a direct kind of channel for my emotional side to be able to do it in pictures
Have
rather than
any go keep going with this, because I'm like starting to roll with this, and I'm imagining, I'm not sure if it's true for you, that if you're emotional when you're taking pictures, it would be easy to shed some tears after a beautiful image. Have you had that experience? Or even
um
or even laughter. Have you seen something, been like, oh
oh
man,
yeah.
that cracks me up? And then like usually when you laugh, that's when you know you got something pretty good.
That's true. If I can, yeah, I think if I can laugh at something that was once you know, like I mean, I often am laughing about crazy things that I did when I was drunk, you know, like you know, it's all the sadness that it was, but it's also like so ridiculous, you know,
Hmm.
like how kind of whacked out I got, you know. And I guess maybe the laughing, being able to laugh about it now is sort of like proof of healing or something, you know. But yeah, and none of those like hard or sad or angering experiences or things that I've gone through, like I don't snip those off and let them and say get away, you know, like
Hmm.
I'm like that they're part of my history and they make me who they give me my perspective as an artist and
Yeah,
as a human being. Like they provide perspective, and so much of at least image making is about your point of view. And as a writer too, like if you're writing poetry,
sure.
you need a point of view. So
Absolutely.
I'm never I wouldn't say that I'm ever you know, as terrible as something might have been, i'm not I'm not, you know, setting it adrift to never consider it again. You
Yeah.
know, it's with me. It's with me.
So Chick,
It's just not devastating me. Hmm.
what gets you in the zone? Earlier you mentioned when I'm in the zone. What actually gets you in the zone? It's because it's almost meditative, I feel, whenever I'm in the zone, doing something creatively. Do you find that you're like also in a meditative state when you're in a zone? And also, like, what keeps you going when you're in that zone? Because sometimes it's kind of easy to slack off, I guess is the proper term I'm trying to say. So what
Yeah,
actually keeps you diligent and keeps you dedicated and just passionate about what you're doing? What keeps you going?
so much of it, so much of it has to do with making it a practice. You know,
Hmm.
I before I made it a practice, I would talk about it a lot. You know, I'd talk about it. I'd talk about making pictures. Oh, if only I could take this picture, or if only I could make, have a show here, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
The 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 talking never got me in the zone. And in fact, whenever I was happened to find myself in the zone, my talking would pop me out of it, right? So for me, what works for me
yeah,
uh, really is setting this up as it's my practice. And so because it's my practice, it's almost like a spiritual thing. It's like
sure is.
I know I get up at 5 a.m, and I know the sun's coming up at this time, and this is like my morning ritual. So, you know, my dog wakes up, I spring out of bed, I get down the stairs before she pees on the floor, and let her out, you know, and then I set the coffee up and I hit the coffee. I grab my cameras and I go outside,
Wow.
while the coffee's brewing. Then I'm
Yeah.
catching
Oh,
the
wow.
sun, and my partner is still sleeping in bed because she gets up at 6. It's just like I have a rhythm. I have a rhythm to my morning,
Uh-huh.
and I try to stick with that rhythm. And when I'm out of it, I don't abuse myself about it. I'm not like, oh God, I screwed up again. I'm not in my rhythm.
Right.
I just be like, oh, I just acknowledge it. Like, oh, I'm why am I feeling depressed? Oh, I didn't go out today. I haven't been out all week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But just have it being acknowledged, just acknowledge it. Don't be like, oh, I'm so horrible. I'm such a
Yeah.
bad artist because here I am
Yeah.
again.
Don't
I'm
beat
not
yourself
making it.
down. Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't do that. Don't do that. There's so many resources to be beaten down in life. Don't be doing it yourself, so yeah, it's for me, it's really been like, it's been almost like eureka. It's my practice that keeps me in the zone, you know it's my
Yeah.
practice that does it because
Absolutely.
it's part of my ritual. It's my ritual.
But what do you do on those days where you just don't feel motivated?
Do it anyway.
Oh, I
Do
love
it anyway.
that. Dude,
You
if
got
you
to do
don't
it
feel
anyway.
motivated, do it anyway.
Yes, you got to do it anyway. Do it anyway.
Oh man, and that's probably when you do the best too, huh?
And sometimes, and that's like the best feeling. It's the best feeling. It's like, oh my God, I got these pictures today, and woo, I am excited. And
That's so
I wouldn't
awesome.
have gotten them had I gone back to bed.
Yeah.
Um, you there'll be many days, maybe every day, you wake up and you don't want to do it. Do it anyway.
Anyway,
You got to do it anyway.
those are wise words from Chick. T Chick Photo is is his social media handle. T Chick McClure, photography amazing. Please check out his stuff because it rocks. It really does. And I'm
Thank
not
you
just
so
saying
much.
that because he's taking pictures of LA and I'm from LA. I'm saying it because I can feel it.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
just thank you so much for your time. I hope to interview again in the near future. That would
Yeah,
be
I'd
amazing.
love to.
And any last words? What kind of advice or what are your final words for the world? What would you like to tell them? Something you want to let out or just whatever you want to say.
Well, treat yourself with love.
Yes, treat yourself with love for sure.
Yep. Treat yourself with love. Don't rip yourself down. And if you want to do something, don't let anyone tell you you can't. You go do
Hell
it.
you. Oh yeah. Thanks so much, Chick. You're awesome. Thanks so much for being on a Little Less Fear podcast.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care now, and I can't wait to see your stuff coming up, your new stuff. Love it. Keep it going. Keep it coming.
I will.
Thank you.